So my name is Benzion. This is my brother Shmuley. He is an Israeli. I'm an American. So here's my question. There's a lot of tension in the Middle East. Israel just killed leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, in Iran. So I have a question for you, Shmuley. What is Iran? What is their end game? What do they want? What is their end goal in terms of Israel?
In order to understand Iran's strategy to Israel, you have to understand how most of the Middle East perceives Israel, which is as a part of the old colonial leftover back from the post-World War I era. And what they saw in happen in the 60s, especially in places like Algeria, where local population was able to expel the French through terrorist and violence, and the Pierre Noir, the French settlers there, they basically eventually ran away. They gave up on the project. And that's essentially how they perceive Israel, which is that since they're a settler colonial state, you don't actually have to kill every single one of them. You don't have to defeat them in detail. You simply have to show them that it's not worth them to live there, and since they see Israel, the Jews, as ruthless there, that they will eventually just go and flee. That is essentially the whole strategy behind inflicting terror and engulfing Israel with their different war on all fronts with all their proxies.
What are they hoping is going to happen? Like right now, they have to respond, or they're probably going to respond to Israel's killing of the Hamas leader on their soil. So, what do they think is going to happen with these terror proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis and all these other? They're spending millions and probably billions of dollars on supporting them. Like, how are their tactics going to play out in achieving their goals?
There are, first of all, for their proxies to win against Israel, they have a big advantage, which to win against Israel, these insurgents and these small groups, they only have to survive. They win by not losing. While meanwhile, Israel, conventional army, if it doesn't win, it loses. So as far as PR goes and on the international stage, they're getting a victory, like almost guaranteed victories here. However, I don't think they're ready to throw Hezbollah completely against Israel, because Hezbollah right now is essentially their nuclear option. Until they have a nuke of their own, I think they're going to try to keep Hezbollah on some sort of a leash, although this might have gotten out of their control already. So they are going to use whatever threats and deterrents they can to prevent Israel from completely destroying Hezbollah if a full-blown war breaks out in the north.
Does Iran fully control Hezbollah? Do they make all those decisions, or is Hezbollah somewhat independent of Iran, the IRGC?
It's complicated, but Hezbollah is independent. They do make their own decisions. However, big decisions like whether or not to go to war, I think right now they're acting of their own accord. I don't think Iran is dictating their current fight with Israel. I think it was just they've pulled them back before, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they will be able to, because the way escalation works is eventually Hezbollah can't back down without looking weak, and Iran's not going to force them to.
So, do you think Iran's strategy is to delay until they have nuclear weapons, and they really could just really set their own destiny without fear of any reprisal or any retaliation, and they're just trying to delay until they get to that point? Or is the delay part of their just what they're going to do indefinitely?
I think they will try to achieve nuclear weapons. I think if you look at the current situation with Gaza and what happened on October 7th, you can imagine how much more limited Israel might have been had they felt under the threat of nuclear weapons. And it would also give them more flexibility, because once you have nuclear weapons as a backup, you can feel more free in using Hezbollah more aggressively against Israel, since they are now a piece on the chessboard that they can theoretically afford to lose.
Do you think there's a chance of the opposition, the peaceful Iranians who obviously oppose the current Iranian regime, the Islamist regime, do you think there's a chance that they could win and eventually overthrow the Ayatollahs, or is that more of a pipe dream of the West?
I personally, I don't remember where I heard this, but I've adopted this I guess, proverb about when it comes to revolutions, is that revolutions don't really succeed, and uprisings don't usually succeed based off the willingness of, and even the multitude of the revolutionaries. It really comes down to the will of the ruling party to enforce its will. And almost all revolutions that have succeeded have been when the side that the side that was in power just didn't have the will anymore to enforce it. So I don't think that the Ayatollahs and the religious right of Iran is ready to back down, and they have all the institutional power. So I think it's a pipe dream for now.